Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Benedicte Kuntziger, and I work at CCSD, the Centre for Direct Scientific Communication, a unit of CNRS, French unit. And I'm very happy to be here this afternoon to talk about open science, and more specifically, open access, the green road of open access with HAL, the French National Open Repository. Here is the outline of my presentation. So first, I will have a quick overview of the CCSD, the unit where I'm working, and the Open Research Infrastructure HAL+. Then I will show you some key figures and main trends about HAL, and talk about key factors driving HAL expansion. And then I will make a detailed focus on HAL functionalities, principles, and services for researchers, research laboratories, and institutions. Finally, I will conclude with thoughts on HAL's role as a central hub supporting the full life cycle. So the Centre for Direct Scientific Communication was created in 2000, and it was created by a physicist with the intention of creating a new multidisciplinary archive. It's governed by 3 major research institutions: CNRS, INRIA, and INRAE, ensuring strong institutional backing and benefits from strong support from the French Minister for Higher Education and Research. CCSD operates under a shared governance model, working closely with HAL partners to promote open access and scientific dissemination. Its sustainable funding model guarantees the long-term stability of its activities. To ensure secure data storage and long-term preservation, CCSD collaborates with 2 national computing centers for backup and archiving. Then the center is supported by a team of 30 engineers specializing in IT, librarianship, training, communication, and so on. It includes 15 experts dedicated specifically to HAL. And CCSD so plays a crucial role in open science by supporting HAL and ensuring long-term access to research outputs. In France, the CCSD serves the scientific and academic communities, and its mission is to facilitate all forms of direct scientific communication and to give a greater visibility to French research outputs by dissemination through open and long-term access to publications. In order to achieve its mission, CCSD has created and develops the HAL+ research infrastructure, included in the French National Research Infrastructure Roadmap. HAL+ is based on 3 service platforms: HAL, the French National Open Repository, which was certified Core Trust Seal, so a trusted repository this year. Epicence, a diamond model publishing platform, so Raphael will present this platform later. And ScienceConf, a platform which provides tools for organizing scientific events. These 3 platforms allow researchers and their institutions to make their results visible, discoverable, usable, and accessible in the long term, and thus to take control of the scientific results process. So let me give you some key figures about HAL. So first, HAL is a multidisciplinary and multilingual archive, as you can see there. All disciplines are represented in HAL. It's an important fact, and it includes humanities and social sciences for 25%. 70% of publications in HAL are in English, then 26% in French. These two languages account for the vast majority of submissions, although we accept all languages. Published and unpublished documents, as preprints, are well accepted in HAL. Journal articles represent more than 50% of the deposits, but as you can see, conferences are also well represented, and PhD theses account for 8% of all submissions. Today, HAL contains more than 1,440,000 full-text documents and almost 4 million of bibliographic references without full text. In 2024, more than 167,000 full-text documents were deposited in the archive. From 2019 to 2024, we have observed a continuous growth in the number of submissions. And as we can see on this graph, the number of submissions in HAL has increased by 110% over the past 6 years, with an average of 150,000 additional deposits per year. Here are the consultation events of HAL in 2024. But finally, as we can see on this graph, over 227 million of consultation events were recorded in 2024. And we can see here that despite HAL is a French National Open Archive, HAL provides worldwide dissemination of scientific literature. So, what key factors in our context could explain the growth of HAL? First, the two national plans for open science have enabled the implementation of an ambitious and strong open science policy in France, with the objective of generalizing open access to publications. They have provided strong support for HAL, identified as the National Open Archive. At the same time, French research organizations, particularly the CNRS and universities, have also affirmed a strong policy in favor of open science, and especially in support of open access to publications and the Open Archive HAL. This convergence of open access national and institutional policies has strongly reinforced the role of HAL as the National Open Archive and its adoption by a broader community. Moreover, some organizations have implemented incentives to deposit in HAL, such as the CNRS, for example. Sylvie told us this morning. So CNRS researchers are required to submit their publications to HAL as part of their annual activity report. HAL also benefits from a global context with the French law for a digital republic and the open access mandate for publications imposed by European research and innovation funding programs, as well as by the French National Research Agency. The French law for a digital republic states that a researcher has the right to deposit the final version of the article before publication or the author-accepted manuscript in an open archive. It's the green road for open access. The publisher may request a maximum embargo of 6 or 12 months, depending on the discipline. Moreover, Coalition S, a coalition of funders with European Commission, has released a right retention strategy, asking researchers to retain their rights on their manuscripts and asking them to deposit versions of a manuscript with a free license in an open archive until the author accepted manuscript without any embargo. So, ANR, the Agence Nationale de la Recherche, ask researchers to deposit in HAL, and they say, submitting at the time of publication at the latest the full text of the scientific publications in the National Open Archive HAL, and mention the RNA research project reference as well as a persistent identifier. And then in 2022, with a CC BY license or equivalence. Here you see the homepage of HAL Open Repository, so you can see that you can immediately deposit a publication in HAL after connection, of course, and search through the archive. So it's an open archive for everybody on the web. 4 principles for the archive. So the first one, sustainability and sovereignty. We talked about that before. So sovereign data hosting, backup and long-term preservation in CC, Indo-French and CNES. It's a French data centers. A community-driven governance and a business model with institutional support and project financing, and open source code. Then quality of metadata in particular. So documentary, technical and legal check before online publication. It's not a scientific check, it's just about legal aspects and quality of metadata. Respect for the authorship of the document. Display of publishers' policies regarding self-archiving, so we use Open Policy Finder or Sherpa Romeo to do that. A rich set of metadata, and metadata extraction from PDF files, and name entity recognition by alignment with reference data and use of identifiers such as ORCID or international identifiers and internal identifiers. And the community of HAL, so help, of course, to improve the quality of metadata. Then interoperability, it's very important to do that and to think about that. So we can transfer deposits to archive and provision of files in the REPEC database in economy. The source code and software can be deposited with Software Heritage. It's a partnership with Software Heritage. It's possible to complete the ORCID profile account from HAL by researcher, use of persistent identifiers, I talk about this, and standardized formats, and the application of FAIR principles. So we use PIDs such as ORCID RAW, and we have export formats, standardized export formats, XML, TEI, Dublin Core, etc. And standardized and open protocols like our API, OAI PMH. We have a triple store tool to expose our data, and we use the Notify protocol to communicate with other platforms. Then the visibility of HAL. So I said we have a OAI PMH repository to be harvested by others, and open API, and exposure of our data in RDF in a triple store. We use SEO optimization, and a lot of search engines and aggregators and monitoring applications are doing that to have HAL data. Our services for researchers, research laboratories and institutions are based on a rich set of metadata, as I said. So we have, of course, basic bibliographic metadata such as title, authors, and so on. But we have metadata that enrich the deposit. For example, we have affiliations of authors. It's very important because our services are based on it. and a lot of type of metadata, such as document type. Is it a preprint? Is it article? Is it something like that? And domain, discipline of the deposit is important too, because with these metadata, we use these metadata to build services like portals. So what is a portal? It's an extraction, not an extraction, a visualization of documents which are deposited in HAL with a criteria such as discipline. For example, we have a portal for social sciences and humanities discipline based on this metadata. So when in a deposit you have a discipline SSH, so the deposit is visible in the portal. And it's the same for all portals. For example, document type, thesis, PhD thesis, it's a portal. When you can see only the thesis. You can see the thesis in HAL, but you can see it only in the portal, and you see in this portal only thesis. And it's very important because we can use it to create some what we call collections, for example, for research laboratories or projects of research, if the metadata is present in the deposit. So if an author of the publication is affiliated to a research laboratory, automatically this publication is visible in the collection of this laboratory. And it's the same for institution. If an author of publication is affiliated to a university or to CNRS, so this publication is visible not only in HAL, but specifically it is in the portal of CNRS, for example. So it's very important to understand that. We have some services specifically to researchers, to research laboratories, to institutions, and a lot of services are based on it. Rich metadata and selection of this metadata to create a website, a portal, or a collection. For researchers, it's the same. So we have some services for them. So in particular, we developed a simplified deposit process with extraction of metadata from PDF file. So when a researcher deposits a PDF file in HAL, we are going to extract metadata information and use named entity recognition by alignment with our reference files to have this metadata. Or we can use DOI of a publication. We are asking Crossref or DataCite the metadata linked with the DOI. We have developed a deposit suggestion service to import publications too. So it's an answer to a request of the National Plan for Open Science to go to import in HAL. The researcher can import in HAL publications that are in open access on other platforms. If it's possible, of course, with the good license. So 50,000 deposits were made with this method in 2024. These are services for researchers, and the researcher has the possibility to create in HAL an online and dynamic CV. So it's an academic CV with all his publications and his identifiers, research identifiers, and so on. ORCID, for example, or something like that. So when a deposit is made in HAL with the author, then this publication automatically feed the CV of the author. and he can have a clear dashboard about his publications to manage it. For portals and collection services, so when you are asking us to open a collection on a laboratory, for example, or a project, here you have peer battery, which is a funded project, research project. So we can open a collection on this metadata when the publication is funded by peer-to-peer battery. So the document is visible in this collection. So it's the same for portals. You see here HAL CNRS portal or Saclay University portal. And so it's a website where you can see publications of the institution with a personalized URL and a website customization possible. And the institution can manage deposits, manage its publications. And librarians who are working for portals improve the quality of metadata. HAL is a valuable source for research analysis and management for institutions. So you have institutions which have a portal, have interactive dashboards that allow researchers, but teams and institutions to obtain customized lists and visualization of their research output hosted in HAL, and they can monitor it. And for institutions, universities, for example, we developed specific views for external services. So in conclusion, I will show how HAL functions more and more as a hub that supports the full life cycle of research with new developments. Now we developed in January and in production, in HAL production. So we developed a system to link publications in HAL with data and software on other platforms. So we developed the links between all these products for research. So first we developed a link between HAL, publication in HAL, and associated data deposited in NACALA, which is a human and social sciences repository for data. And now we developed the relationship, the link between HAL, publications in HAL, and research DataGouv. Marin talked about it. So it's the national repository for data, French National Repository for Data. So we developed with them the link between publications in HAL and data in the repository. And it's the same for software heritage. So it's possible to create a link between the publication in HAL and the software in software heritage. And it's possible to create the link with other repositories if data have a DOI. So for that, we use identifiers, so DOI for data published in other repositories, and the Notify protocol, which was developed with COAR, the Confederation of Open Access Repositories. Then we developed the interoperability with publishing platforms. So it's possible to submit a preprint in HAL and then submit this preprint to a publishing or a peer review service. Epicence Journal, so Raphael will talk about it, functions on this model. So you can deposit a preprint not only in HAL, but in HAL. And for my example, so you can deposit the preprint in HAL and then submit it to a journal, Epicence Journal. We can do that with PCI too, so peer community in, to deposit a preprint in HAL and then submit to PCI communities. It's the same. We have to use identifiers and notify protocol to do that. Notify protocol, I didn't say it before, it's a communication protocol between two systems, two platforms, two repositories. And then HAL became a source for open access monitoring. So I say before, we developed HAL dashboards, HAL monitor, so it's intern tools for that. But HAL became a source for the French Open Science Monitor and more generally for all monitoring of open science and of research output in France.
The presentation and very explicitly how it works. My question is Lydia inside Europe. My question is, I understand that this works very well for a researcher, French researcher that is in France, but researchers have a lot of international cooperation. So how do you deal with that? How do you deal with international cooperation?
Researchers can deposit wherever they come from. So if you are Indian researcher or something else, you can deposit in HAL. It's not a problem. No, I didn't understand the question, maybe.
Sorry, I think I didn't express myself. I mean, one researcher, me, no, if I'm French,
Yeah.
but I have a cooperation with India or with Japan. But I'm not, sometimes I may be the main author, sometimes I may not. So how is this taking into account in HAL?
It's not only the main author who deposits in HAL. So generally it's the French author, but not only. If you are the author and you want to deposit in HAL, you must have other authors of a publication must be okay with that. So we don't verify that, but you have to say, yes, I have my author authorization to deposit in HAL. But we don't have problems about that. Yeah. Generally, authors are okay to do that together, and they said, okay, it's you deposit. Because in HAL, you have to deposit once only, because the same publication is visible everywhere and in different portals, but you have to deposit once. And it's not copy of the deposit. It's just visualization, sorry.
My question is this services accessible through Google Scholar or core.ac.uk, other search engines which are providing access to scholarly resources?
I'm not sure I understand the question. Yes, of course, yes. As I said, it's interoperable, and it's very open. So open APIs and OAI PMH to be harvesting. So each tool, aggregator or research, as like Google Scholar, can go and take our data.
Actually, my problem is I deposited some resources to Genodo, but those resources are not accessible through Google Scholar. Yeah. So Google Scholar doesn't provide. So your resources is accessible through Google Scholar, or it doesn't provide?
Yes, and we are working with them to optimize the possibility for them to have our data. I can't explain because I'm not IT engineer. Maybe Raphael could, because he knows that very well. How to optimize our data to be harvested by Google Scholar and so on.
Thank you.
Any other question? If not, let us all thank Dr. Benedicte for the wonderful presentation.
Long live India and France friendship.